this speaks to that. American IQ scores have rapidly dropped. And, this is popular mechanics, so they want to make it all scientific and say this is the reverse Flynn effect. But, fuck you and your Flynn effect. I don't know that really matters. It's just people. The IQ is drastically dropped. A Northwestern University study shows a decline in 3 key intelligence testing categories, a tangible example of what is called the reverse Flynn effect. Leading up to the 1990s, IQ scores were consistently going up. But in recent years, that trend seems to have flipped. The reasons for both the increase and the decline are still very much up for debate. And they misspelled the word still as sill, which I feel like proves their point. Even popular mechanics cannot write a correct sentence in the second sentence in their article about IQ scores. That doesn't mean I don't ever misspell anything, but one of my pet peeves is like, dude, can you not pay people enough that they actually are able to edit your fucking copy? Like, yes, I misspell things, but I'm not writing an article for popular mechanics. If I did, I hope that when I send it in, they would have someone really good at making sure it doesn't say sill instead of still. But anyway, everybody's talking about how great the bots are now. Couldn't the number one thing for bots be to actually find spelling errors even when they are an actual word? Obviously, still is a word. Okay. Tangent again. But so IQs are dropping drastically, IQ scores. And I don't think the reasons are actually up for debate if you actually understand the systems at play here. I would say there are two of the largest reasons, if not the largest reasons, are because of the intentional gutting of our education system. Those where you would get the top level education are incredibly expensive. Education at top universities is through the roof in terms of cost. And so that is one of the biggest reasons. Public education. I went to public school, and I don't know that I got that great of I feel like everything I learned, honestly, mainly everything I learned came after high school. So, after college was when I started studying. I started reading the books that actually matter, like Hedges. But you should be in your lower grades. You should be at least taught how to think correctly. And yes, you should also be taught the correct history of America, which we're largely not. Occasionally, if you have one of those edgy teachers, you might get Zins of People History of the United States, which everyone should read. But in general, you're not going to get that. You're going to get the whitewashed history of America, which now even in the better history books, where they at least have made race a very important issue in those history books, not in Florida, but in other states, not in Florida, Texas, but in other states, but in certain schools, and they now make race an important issue in those books. But it's far more than race that needs to be covered, right? It's like having Kamala Harris as vice president or Barack Obama as president. If you don't change the systems and you don't teach people about how the systems work, then it doesn't fucking matter that you're the black president. It does not fucking matter. So if you teach people a slightly whitewashed history or a very whitewashed history of Martin Luther King, rather than ignoring Martin Luther King, like most of my history books in Richmond, Virginia did when I was a kid. If you don't teach the accurate, if you teach the whitewashed version of Martin Luther King, that doesn't actually help people change our systems. And that's because it is still indoctrination. It is still meant for a grand indoctrination. But you have the gutting of public education because, I'll say the right wing, but really that means both political parties, which are two cheeks of the same backside. Patent pending for George Galloway. But if you gut public education in those lower grades, you can then point to public education and say, it's not working. Kids are dumber than ever. It's not working. So therefore, let's privatize it all. And they have privatized a lot of it. Charter schools are, probably more charter schools than ever. in America. I don't know that for certain, but probably. And uh, people are just frothing at the mouth to make money off of educating children because it is something that everyone wants to be educated, and they know they can suck more money out of you, much as they do with healthcare. And so they are frothing at the mouth to make it more and more expensive to put your kids through these schools, through these schools. Anyway, that's reason one that I'd say people IQ has dropped drastically. Reason two, it probably has to do with the health conditions. You have a health system where life expectancy has gone down. You have a health system where people are afraid to go to the hospital because they can't afford what the outcome will be. They don't want to find out something's wrong because they can't afford to deal with the thing that's wrong. So you have health just plummeting, and then you have the types of foods people are eating, right? People living on Doritos Locos, which is ironic because eating nothing but Doritos actually causes Locos. Causes crazy. So Doritos Locos, yes to that. That's what happens. But the health is a big aspect of all of this. And I think that's another reason that IQ is dropping. But here's one more interesting fact about this. I don't know why they had to, well, because they're popular mechanics, so they're trying to make it all like nerdy. It's the James Flynn effect. Nah, it doesn't really. Just call it getting dumber. Call it the Flowers for Algernon effect, okay? You don't have to call it the James Flynn effect. The study published in the journal Intelligence. So see, that's the only way you get your study published in Intelligence is by pretending it's an effect. Okay, so here is of the areas of intelligence. Let's see, the service has, in order to examine if and how cognitive ability scores were changing over time, the data showed drops in logic and vocabulary, visual problem solving and analogies, and computational and mathematical abilities. Could you imagine losing ability in analogies? I mean, that would be like, it would be like, so if you're losing your ability to create analogies, it would be like, so like if you had two, it'd be like, I don't know what it would be like, losing your ability to create analogies. Yeah, I actually don't know what it'd be like. If anyone didn't get that joke, then you're part of the problem. So, but here's the thing. The one area of intelligence that has gone up is spatial reasoning, known as 3D rotation. And they're like, we don't know why that is. Why is it everything's gone down except for spatial reasoning and 3D rotation? And this is so obvious. I think maybe I'm fucking wrong, but it's because we're all fucking online all day. We're all looking at screens all day. That benefits our spatial reasoning because we're interacting with things in a new way than we used to. We're seeing, like, spatially, you see things rotate on screens, and you shrink things down, and you zoom in on Google Maps and all that shit. It's like, that's why that's the one going up. Everything else is going down because we're fucking idiots. So call it the fucking idiot effect. All right. But the reason I wanted to cover that story, even though I normally just cover political socioeconomics. I mean, it is socio, but the reason I wanted to cover that story is because it's by design. Americans are getting dumber by design, and it is useful for them. And in fact, the first story, the story before that about Hedges, written by Hedges, points to the ruling elite saying they wanted to decrease intelligence. They had a crisis of democracy. They needed people to be less informed, and they have achieved that. So this is by design. Now, popular mechanics won't tell you it's by design, but it's fucking by design.